Five, four, three, two, one. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. A few technical glitches today, as usual, most of which was the coffee pot quit working. Suddenly the little heater thing in it didn't go. So anyway, let's visit Tom Fishburne. And I want to actually go over here because I made some highlights in Tom's cartoon, and it looks like we made it too big. So I always have to adjust the sizes of these things to get them in there really nicely. So we'll get it in there nicely. Okay, so Tom says they got this brainstorming thing going. I go over to here. They got this brainstorming thing going, and the four horsemen say, if it's such a good idea, someone would already be doing it. That's one of the horsemen. Next one says, yes, but. And another one says, we need a focus group. And the fourth one, I think this is precious. Let me play devil's advocate. Now, what I like about Tom is, what I actually like the best is his commentary on his cartoons. He says, I recently rediscovered a beautiful quote on the fragility of ideas. This was from Steve Jobs' memorial. I don't know who said it. It doesn't say who said this tribute. But he said, Johnny, here's a dopey idea, and some of them would really be dopey, and some of them would be dreadful, and some of them took the air out of the room and left us completely silent. Bold, crazy, magnificent ideas, or quiet, simple ones, which in their subtlety, their detail, were utterly profound. While ideas ultimately can be powerful, they begin as fragile, barely formed thoughts, so easily missed, so easily compromised, so easily squished. Most organizations have more of a Darwinian approach to idea creation, but instead of survival of the fittest, the result is often survival of the safest idea. And I was thinking about this as I read it, and that's pretty much why I went out on my own. I was always having ideas like we should move the coffee maker closer to most of the people, or we should put some kind of lid. They had a bun coffee maker, and those are great for restaurants where the coffee gets consumed really fast. But in an ad agency, it sits around and there's no top on it, whereas my Mr. Coffee right here has a nice lid on the pot. So as it is kept warm, it keeps the moisture in, whereas at the agency it fluttered out. So I would put a styrofoam cup in the top, and people got mad at that. And, I understand now in retrospect, because I've had some employees like me who are always coming up with ideas, and it just got to be too much. We don't need to move the coffee maker. There'll be other implications that you haven't thought of, and leave the coffee maker where it is. That kind of attitude comes along with management. And I thought, I've had a lot of crazy ideas, and some of which have become quite magnificent, like CRM and targeting based on the value of the customer. But it was a rare world where I was listened to at the level I was hoping for. Here's one. And Tom says it's easier to critique than create. Always true. Here's another one where everyone has pruning shears, and there's only one who's actually trying to grow a little innovation, right? If you look at my letterhead, it says direct marketing innovation. Here's the killers of ideas. And now that we've brainstormed all these exciting new ideas, it's time to sort them. Tried it before, yes, but too risky. If it's a good idea, someone would already be doing it. A nice balancing point that I shared with Jay Goltz, author and columnist and entrepreneur, which he said was priceless, was you don't tweak to greatness. It takes ideas. And one of the interesting things about our modeling process, unlike most, is we combine the massive variables of AI with transparency of regression, which allows us to generate ideas. And if you want to know why we have a track record for explosive growth, it's not because of the tweakiness that we can lift your promotion. It's because we'll find things that make you think, and you'll start to question your assumptions, and you'll start to say, hey, maybe there's something here. And that is the key to find a need and fill it. Or more likely, find a need that your customers are filling that you hadn't thought of with your product. And that's why it's crucial not just to have KPIs. That'll never get you there. Anyway, enough pontificating for today, maybe. Let's go on. National Retail Federation forecasts solid growth, about double of last year, and that's good news. AARP, I thought this was an interesting one. AARP sides with the White House. I don't belong to AARP, not because I'm not qualified. I'm plenty old enough. I got my first card in the 50s, like at least 10 years ago. Maybe I think when I was still in my 40s. Anyway, I used it at Denny's. I said, do I qualify? I've got an AARP card. They said, sure, take the senior discount. Anyway, I don't need the card anymore. So AARP sided with Trump, who's trying to get drug prices down, trying to get the whole medical industry to be more competitive instead of the other side of the coin, which is to make it centralized power. Right. Okay, that's going to work. And so 3 drug companies and the ANA, which used to be the DMA, filed a lawsuit and said it wasn't workable, plus we'll have to show the suggested retail price, and that might not be the actual price. It's like, yeah, that's what every car, all the car, suggested, manufacturer suggested retail price. Prices may vary locally. Duh. But you know what? It gives you a relative index. If this drug is $10,000 a pill and this drug is $1 a pill, well, I might go for trying that second one a little bit. It's part of being in the informed marketplace of capitalism, rather than just going there and saying, oh, I'll take it whatever it costs. That I'll do it whatever it costs is why medical care in America is something like 4 times more expensive than anywhere else in the world, and not all that much more effective. The current pharmaceutical distribution system does not make essential pricing information available to patients, AARP writes. Amen. Okay, I wanted to talk about this because it said social media budgets are up and print is down. Yeah, well, that's misleading because they're not talking about direct mail. They're not talking about printing something. They're talking about newspaper. And yeah, if you're in the newspaper business, look to England and see about their business models, because basically, I went on the Journal Sentinel online and it's gated. Okay, that makes sense, but I don't care, And for every gated newspaper like the Wall Street Journal, I can find the same story in 6 other places. Sorry. Anyway, I wanted to revisit net neutrality because I thought, whatever happened with that? Net neutrality battle lives on. What do you know? And it turns out this past week there was a court case in the Federal Appeals Court, and they said the federal FCC can do whatever they want on this deal, and they're getting rid of the rules. Now, what is all of this about? And at stake in this battle is who, if anyone, will police the internet to ensure that broadband companies aren't abusing their power as gatekeepers. What? What? Is that like a retail store selling only products it wants to sell? They're gatekeepers. Aldi sells mostly their own stuff. They're gatekeepers. They're keeping Procter & Gamble out of the stores. Yeah? True. Where do people get these loony ideas? Anyway, net neutrality is the principle that all traffic on the internet should be treated equally, regardless of whether you're checking Facebook, posting pictures to Instagram, or streaming movies from Netflix and Amazon. You know what? 20% of the people take up 80% of the bandwidth. You know how I know that? Because it's always true. It's always true. Which means that my neighbor's kids are getting subsidized by my internet payments because I don't stream movies like much at all. I watch a little YouTube, but not much. Okay? So if they want to buy, and I live in a ritzy neighborhood where they could afford it, they could pay through the nose for the greatest streaming that you've ever seen on earth. Right? You know, isn't this like saying every car should be the same price? You know what we'll get when you get that? Crappy cars. There's a great Top Gear about has any communist country produced car ever been any good? And they went back through everything and there was never a good car. We were pitching the Yugo account and I got to drive the demo vehicle they let us borrow back to the dealership. I'm adjusting the rearview mirror and it comes off in my hand, literally. Something else fell off. I think the side view mirror or the gas cap fell apart. Or it was falling apart, literally. A brand new car as we were driving it, the Yugo. So what does all this mean? I mean, there's some... now, they said that the states can do some stuff. And there was a little bit in here. California passed the most stringent net neutrality regulation last year. It also outlaws some zero rating offers, such as AT&T, which exempts its own streaming service from its wireless customers' data caps. What a cool idea, right? So I got no more data, I got nothing better to do, but oh, by the way, I can watch HBO or whatever the heck it is. I don't know. I don't have AT&T. I never liked them. I don't support monopolies. That's also my choice, right? Now, bottom line, embedded in this sentence is the key to the whole thing. Wireless. As long as the net is a wire coming to your house, whether it's fiber optic or coax, as it is on my house, no matter what, as long as it's a wire, it's going to be locally controlled. That's why you only have one service provider. Google said we'll put fiber optic across America if the cities who've given monopolies to Time Warner or Spectrum or whoever else would let us have access to the telephone poles. They won't because they're getting kickbacks. That's what the reality of the internet is right now. The gatekeepers are your municipal governments who won't allow competition. Well, 5G, if anything else, if nothing else, 5G is going to blow the doors off that. You know, and then I don't know if I commented on an article. There was an article that says, we need regulation guaranteeing 5G across the whole country. No, you don't. Again, that just means you're subsidizing someplace. And, you know, most of those people, we had a dish in our window aiming at an antenna a couple of miles away for years here at the office because we're in a little industrial park island. And it wasn't worth it for them to put the wires in. You know, be happy. Be thankful that you get 5G somewhere. Anyway, yeah, regulations are always going to favor the bureaucrats. Sorry to tell you that. It's just the way it is. And you can point to example after example after example. And the federal government or the states never pick the right winners. So I hope my state doesn't do this, and I will fight it if it does. But if your state wants to, great. And you can subsidize each other. Right. And you probably will subsidize me because they'll set the price high enough that it covers the crazy Netflix 24/7 streamers who just leave the thing on all day long. I'm John Miglosh. Have a great day. Like and share your